So this is a 4-frame nuke box. It's 8 1/8 of an inch outside dimensions, which double that and you'd have the exact dimensions of a 10-frame box. So I've cut my frames down with the end bars totaling 1.25 inches across the spacer Hoffman-style frame. So now I can fit 5 frames in my 4-frame nuke box. If the queen flies away, she might come back. So you
How likely is that?
It is actually fairly likely that she will turn around and come back. So if I was putting the honey in here, or a marshmallow or something in the entrance and goofed and she got away, you gotta think, where's she gonna go? She's not going out foraging on flowers, so she's gonna find a hive. She belongs in the hive, so she'll probably just buzz around for a minute and come back. So, but don't count on it. But before you go and order a new queen, or call up your package supplier, wait for a little while, let the bee settle down and then come back. She might be in the hive. So she's not settled down laying eggs, so she's gonna be hard to find, but she might be in there.
Okay, and if she's not, then you need to get a queen there lickety split.
I got another handy use for the middle bar frame. I'm gonna put the queen, set the queen cage on it, and because I don't have space to wedge that in between the top bars in my 4-frame nuke box with 5 frames. So that'll work just fine right there.
It's tight.
It's tight, but it works. This hive we're going to feed using a Boardman-style feeder. So it uses a mason jar, and we'll use the suction method there, right? It'll drip for a minute. We're going to put that mason jar in this feeder and slide it in the hive entrance. When the sun hits the can of syrup, it warms it up and the bees will pick it up quicker when it's warm. At nighttime, because it's outside the hive, it's going to cool down and the bees aren't going to pick it up. Also, another disadvantage to this is that it's outside, and so it makes it easier for other bees or ants to rob. So it's best to have a feeder inside the hive, on top of the hive, rather than outside, but these are a convenient way. Benefit to these is you can tell how much syrup the bees have eaten, and you'll tell when it's empty. You can refill it without opening the hive. You can simply unscrew it and take it out, fill it up, come back without disturbing the hive.
So where does the feed drip onto? Can you show?
Okay.
The Boardman feeder?
Right. So in the lid, it has some holes poked in the lid of the mason jar. So as you turn it upside down, right, the bees can go and put their tongue on those little holes there and take the syrup out.
Okay, and then it kind of drips down onto that flat spot right there, which the bees, how do the bees get to that?
Right. So there's access through this style feeder. The bees can crawl from the hive underneath it. The bees will crawl from the inside of the hive through this little tunnel or channel, right, underneath to get to the feed underneath.
Okay, so there's a little gap there between the lid and the base. Okay.
Right, that's how it works.
And then it just kind of slides in. Talk about the entrance size that you need for those.
Yeah, so the trick with these is often it's too tall for the space in your bottom board. So that's one reason why sometimes these aren't used. You've got to have 7/8 of an inch in order for it to slide in.
So you have to modify your bottom board a little bit usually?
You don't always have to modify your bottom board. It depends on who you bought your bottom board from. Some manufacturers will have a space that lifts the hive body up off of the bottom board 7/8 of an inch, and so it'll slide in just fine.
Okay. And then now if you were feeding bees and you knew it was going to be really cold, like freezing,
yeah,
how would you feed them with that style feeder inside the hive?
You could take this style of feeder, take it out, and I would have a shell. You could set this right on top of the bees. Put another empty box over the top of this. Put your lid on that, and that way the bees could keep this warm, and they can still crawl up between the frames and pick up the honey.
And could you take out some frames? Like, pretend like this was a 10-frame box.
You could remove maybe 3 frames out of a 10-frame box and set this down inside right on the bottom board, and they could crawl in through the gap, the tunnel under here, and pick the feed up. That would work also.
Okay.
Then you wouldn't have to have a shell, right? You wouldn't have to have an additional box on top. Since it's real cold, it'd be better to have them in just one box. They could keep it warmer. The bees could actually crawl around this to heat the syrup in order to pick it up. This is actually just water and not sugar syrup. We just did that for the video.
What about in the fall? Is this the best kind of feeder in the fall?
In the fall, I wouldn't use this type of feeder in the fall because it's likely to cause robbing. The bees will get around it, and the wasps and the ants, and you drip a little bit outside the front porch, the landing board, and so it's attractive to pests. So I wouldn't use this when there's robbing that could likely occur. If you're in a hurry to install your packages and you don't happen to have any sugar handy, you can take the rest of the syrup that the can has in it from the package bees, and you can put it in your feeder. This is really thin syrup, but this will get them fed and okay for a day or so until you can get them some more feed. That's how to use the Boardman-style feeder.